where the Queensland government has no record to run on. Instead, all politics, all fear, and all of it based in a disgrace. The paranoid, pointless puppet Premier must go. Her ministers who lie, like Slick Mick, the sports minister, who moved taxpayers' money around to help the Labor Party. Her dopey deputy, who looked over a system where $500 million worth of bills were not paid by Queensland Health. Not to mention the idiot treasurer who says, Dick by name and nature, that he will not give you a budget until after the state election, despite the fact that the federal budget, that's far more complicated, involving the welfare payments that are holding up Queensland, were able to deliver a budget just last week. Well, yet another example. Flush this mob. Because while the Premier stands there with a prop every day, and that's all it is a prop that claims, I've got an economic plan to save Queensland for the next little while. The reality is that the plan does not involve a budget. I'm going to create jobs. But the only number of jobs that have been created full-time in Queensland were 179. This bullshit has to stop and must be punished. And surprise, surprise, when confronted, the Treasurer, despite saying they've got this economic plan and I'm going to hold it up everywhere, Dick by name, Dick by nature, well, he now says, well, he can't comment at all on what might be the actual number of jobs created by the Queensland government in the next term. Don't vote for these flogs. They are lying to you. They changed the system about how you vote. They've changed the system about who can advocate 10-to-1 unions over any other political party. And this flog said, it's difficult to say about the much vaunted economic plan and about how many jobs it will actually create. But that is not the most disgusting thing that happened in the past weekend involving this mob of nasty losers whose heartlessness is designed to scare you into voting for them. We told you last week about a current affair, their great reporting, about a Queensland man who local doctors said had an inoperable brain tumour. So he went to Sydney for one last shy at the stumps with Dr. Charlie Teo. He's a Queenslander, and rather than going back to his home to quarantine, he's hardly running off to the pub. This bloke was told, no, you have to stay in a hotel. He was then moved to a medical hotel, which is essentially no different. But just like the double standards on the AFL players and the girl who couldn't see her father at his funeral or her family, guess what? Towards the end of September, there was a lady who was able to get a pass. She didn't have to sit in the hotel room. She is the former chief executive of Jetstar and now works heavily with Bain Capital, who of course ended up purchasing Virgin, and Virgin then negotiated to get $200 million out of the Queensland government to be able to make sure that their headquarters was still in Queensland. I read from a current affair. The family's exemption, that being hers and her family's exemption from hotel quarantine, was amid sensitive negotiations with the Palaszczuk government. So while they were doing the deal for the headquarters, the people who own the airline get to go straight through to the five-star accommodation. The Queenslander with a brain tumour is told you have to stay in a hotel like some sort of common criminal doing weekend detention. The reporting on this from A Current Affair has been relentless and excellent. The man's wife states the case very clearly about why he should get the five-star treatment, not the millionaires, not the movie stars, not the people from the AFL who were able to leave Melbourne at the height of the pandemic.
I don't get that. I don't understand why. This is life and death. It's not a joke. It's not a person wanting to play football in another state, which apparently that's okay.
Disgusting, it truly is. And within 1 hour of the story dropping about the double standards where the front end of the plane gets treated much differently than those who can't even afford or are healthy enough to fly, guess what happened? It was now time to scare Townsville about coronavirus, where supposedly the dumb deputy, whose doctorate is, of course, in unionism, well, he's out there saying that they've found coronavirus in the sewerage in Townsville. No specific street, no specific location, just the Rona might be in Townsville. Now, I'm sure this has nothing at all to do with all of the places that Townsville's worrying sewerage test, I'm sure, has nothing to do with the fact that if the Palaszczuk government loses 2 seats, the Greens can't save them even in a minority government, and Townsville is the most marginal seat the Labor Party has with just 214 votes separating it from the opposition. I'm sure it has nothing to do with that. How many times, Queensland, do you have to be shown the dark heart of your government? They didn't keep you safe. They covered their arse. They destroyed their local economy to 179 new jobs so they could save theirs at Parliament House. They have lost the moral authority to govern. They have no plan for the next 4 years. And holding up a catalogue is not a plan. It's a stunt. Telling people in Townsville that there's Rona in the toot is a way of trying to save marginal seats. Flush this mob. Get rid of them. Get rid of them from the north, the centre, and in the city and on the coast. They don't deserve to govern, even when they think everything's tickety-boo and they're amazing. They're not. They're nasty and they need to go.